New York City, it has long been a magnet for immigrants, and the mayor's office says immigrants make up more than 40% of the city's population. If you were to put those 3 million people together, that 40%, you would actually have the third largest city in America.
Well, and many immigrants come to New York looking for a better life, but they're not the only ones benefiting. An independent study shows immigrants help the city thrive as well. VOA's Phillips covers life in New York for us, and we talked about the study and its implications.
The study examined rising immigration statistics and neighborhood police reports between 1990 and 2010. New York City's economy and quality of life improved greatly during that period, especially in declining neighborhoods. The report's author, Jacob Vigdor, found a link.
The immigrants go to these neighborhoods because they're the only places they can afford, and they stabilize those neighborhoods. They reduce the vacancy rates. They reduce the state of disrepair. And these are the things that kind of lead to crime dropping.
There is a perception that immigrants can actually bring sort of a disruption to neighborhoods. And what does a study like to say about that?
There's a general perception among many people that that immigrants bring disorder to a society, that somehow an immigrant group somehow makes everything topsy-turvy, and that this is actually bad for morale and bad for the economy. But in fact, a series of long-standing studies by Harvard University shows that the perception of disorder has nothing to do with the amount of immigrants or the amount of crime that immigrants bring.
Adam, there are a lot of reports about immigrants and their effects on the economy, but what is unique about this report?
This particular report really establishes that immigrants are not only good for the economy of the city, but that they actually played a major role in the turnaround that New York City had in terms of crime, neighborhood renewal, and that kind of thing. There was the report studied crime statistics precinct by precinct, in other words, neighborhood by neighborhood, and correlated it with these census statistics, and found that as immigrants moved into these derelict neighborhoods, crime actually went down rather than up, even though that's not the psychological perception sometimes.
Now, are we talking about legal immigrants or illegal immigrants that are coming in to New York, or do they make a distinguishment?
They didn't really make a distinction between the immigrants who are here with documentation and not. It's just a matter of census data. Of course, people who are undocumented here would probably be emotionally much less likely to want to speak to census takers, but I don't think that was a big part of how it came down.
What does a report like this shed on the overall life of immigration in New York City?
Well, the impact of a study like this is it gives a certain objective basis for what many of these immigration activists have been asking for, which is a culture of inclusion of immigrants, a way to integrate them economically, because they make a difference not just to the immigrants who come here for a better life, but for everybody else. They do a lot of the jobs that people don't want to do. They come with a lot of can-do spirit. It's sort of a self-selecting group when you think about it. People who come here from other places already have the kind of values that many people want in an economy. They want to work hard, they want their kids to be better, they want to create a community, they want to get an education, they don't want a lot of trouble. They're not here to bother anybody, and so those kind of things tend to conduce toward a society where people want to live in, wherever they come from.
You're a New Yorker, so what have you observed from your aspect about New York and the immigration situation there? Is that just really always been a hotbed? Have you seen changes? What sort of observations can you make from your vantage point?
Well, there's more and more Latino immigrants here, especially from the Dominican Republic and Mexico. Back in the late 80s, I think that there were 46,000, I read somewhere, Mexicans living in New York. Now there are 600,000 Mexican Americans living in New York. The food's a lot better. There's a lot more of it.
That's a good
all
thing.
Kinds of food. And I love the diversity of New York, and I personally, not as a journalist, appreciate all the different languages that I hear. The other day I was in Brooklyn. I had about a 10-minute walk between my subway destination and my ultimate destination, and I heard 7 languages within 10 minutes. To me, that's all to the good.
And thanks again to Phillips in New York.